Hello and welcome. The Christmas holiday is almost over, and for the past few days I've been fighting the urge to sit down and gush about my favorite books of the year. And here we finally are, under the Christmas tree, and it's time to talk about some exquisite books. Now, I wasn't initially planning on making this a top 10, but when I looked at all of the 5-star reads I had this year, out of the 74 books I read, 10 I rated 5 stars. So we might as well do a top 10. The thing is, I noticed that I could do a top 10 just now, and I haven't really, rated them. So I'm gonna have to do this now, and this will be tricky. Never mind, I lied to you. I have 9 books, so this will be a top 9. Okay, we are going to do an honorable mention because I am missing a number 10 book. So our number 10 book for the year is Clockwork Boys by Kingfisher. This is the first book of a duology. I first read it as an ARC, then I bought my own copy. The second book I read as an EPUB because it's not yet out as a physical copy. So the duology as a whole gets a 4-star, and I think each individual book I gave 4 stars as well. This is honestly a very entertaining fantasy that edges on the romantasy. Some would say it's actually a romantasy, but it does have a very good plot. The side characters are characters that you care about, they're very well built. Kingfisher this year definitely made the list of my favorite authors. I will devour everything she writes at this point, honestly. Some of her books are on the weaker side, but as a whole, I really love the way she writes. Some say that she sometimes uses modern vocabulary when she's not really supposed to. I haven't really noticed that, but I think as long as there aren't phrases like, badass, bombastic, chill, that type of phrases, as long as they're not in these books, I'm okay with that. Because also with fantasy, even when it's high fantasy, it's still a made-up world. The author can use whatever words they want to use. So as long as the story is not rooted in real life, then I give them slight passes. So when it comes to Clockwork Boys, just imagine the setting. A paladin, an assassin, a forgerer, and a priest walk into a bar. Basically, that's who we have as characters. There are nuances to them, like for example our paladin is pretty much a broken paladin because before the story begins he was possessed by a demon. Then of course that demon was exorcised, but our paladin did quite a lot of damage while he was possessed. And now he's no longer really a paladin and he has to deal with that. And our little ensemble is basically sent on a suicide mission because there is a war going on and the enemy has an army of these huge and very powerful creatures that no one really knows what they're made out of, how they function, how they can be stopped. So our little group is sent to figure out how to put an end to those creatures. Now let's be honest, the plot doesn't really sound that unique. And the point of this book is not for it to be unique. But the world that Kingfisher creates, it has so much potential. A few of her other books that don't really have anything to do with Clockwork Boys are also set in that world. And it's a world that you can return to. It's a world that is built on familiar things in the fantasy genre, but Kingfisher kind of builds on top of those common tropes and common creatures and just makes them her own. And when you return to that world and her other works, it's just really nice and rather endearing. I don't know if you understand what I mean, but I highly recommend Kingfisher's books in this world. What really makes Clockwork Boys special, I think, is that the characters are built primarily through dialogue, and the dialogue is really well written. And it's not just about the banter, it's about how realistic it is when people speak, and also it's about the fact that if you read a certain piece of dialogue out of context and you're already familiar with the characters, you can immediately understand who is speaking. Like, you will immediately know. And it's not because there are accents or like they have catchphrases that they use. No, it's about the way that they structure their sentences. It's about their own individual sense of humor. So in this regard, Kingfisher is really good at characterization. And you can see that in her other books as well. But this is the one that is the most dialogue heavy, in my opinion. And her skill in creating characters through dialogue really stands out here. I did not give it 5 stars because it still felt like something was lacking. I definitely would have liked it if we went deeper into the world, because as I said, I really enjoy the world. But overall, it's a really good book, it's a really good series, and it gets an honorable mention in this top 10, I guess. Also, this edition is actually quite nice. Take a look at it. Give me a second. Yeah, it's pretty. So number 9, we have a book that I waited for so much. I was so eager to read it, okay? I was so excited about it, and thankfully it did not disappoint me. I know it disappointed a lot of people in the fandom, in the community and whatever, but to be honest, I wasn't expecting it to be as the fanfiction was, because honestly, it couldn't have been like it. And I'm glad that the author attempted to create her own world and changed the story and pretty much everything apart from the basis of the 2 main characters. I still haven't told you what the book is, have I? Anyway, so we have The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy. And this is a special edition, I think from Owlcrate. Was it from Owlcrate? Illumicrate. One of the 2. I'll write it here, okay? It's a stunning edition. Wait, before we get into the review, very quickly, look at this. You see? I think from this you can tell that it's an enemies to lovers. But then... Okay, look! Okay. What? Wait. And then look at the sprayed edges. Yeah, stunning. And now when we open it, okay, we have this, and then we have this. Yeah, and then let's just open a random chapter. Yeah, you get like these. Okay, it's beautiful, and I was so excited to read it because I believe that the original fanfiction... Okay, so a brief backstory about the author of this book. She wrote a fanfiction about Draco Malfoy and Hermione Granger. Okay, and I believe it's the best fanfiction about those 2. It's called Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love. Amazing fanfiction. I've read it twice. I never read a fanfiction more than once. I recommend this one to everyone. It's great, it's really funny, it's unique, it has amazing banter, just amazing, okay? So I'm really happy that the author got a book deal. But she got the book deal because of the fanfiction, right? And she already had a huge following because of it. So of course, the book that she wrote had to have similar vibes. And it does have similar vibes. But it is also kind of its own thing, or at least the author tried to make it its own thing. So it has its own separate world building. It's not the best world building, I'm not a fan of it, but the point of this book wasn't really the world building. It was the 2 main characters and how their relationship would develop. And it is an enemies to lovers. And I had so much fun reading this, because I would say what was really unique about the fanfiction is also applicable to this book as well, The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy, and it is the banter, the jokes, the humor. I have laughed out loud at this book, the way I've laughed out loud at The Mortifying Ordeal, although that one is funnier, so I do recommend you read it. But it was just great, okay? And it really deserved to be on my shelf in this beautiful edition, because I did read the ARC. I got the ARC! I got an ARC! I was so excited! And my best friend also got the ARC. So we read it together before it came out. It was amazing. Anyway, 5 stars. 5 stars. Moving on. At number 8, we have Pain and Suffering in the Form of The Bands of Mourning by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 3 of Mistborn Era 2. Now, if you haven't read Mistborn, there really is no point in me explaining what this book is about because it's very complicated, it's a big world, it's high fantasy. I'm postponing reading book 4 of the last Mistborn arc because I know what's going to happen. I unfortunately spoiled myself and I am not ready for it. This one was enough pain. Okay. Why Brando had to do what he did at the end of this book, I don't understand. I believe it was completely uncalled for and unnecessary, and our dear precious Wax does not deserve to suffer like this. Brando, this is an official scolding. Know that you care. Anyway, if you haven't read the Mistborn series, it's a very good start to reading the Cosmere universe by Brandon Sanderson. The Cosmere is like this huge thing of high fantasy books and stories that are all kind of interconnected, or at least you have characters that jump from one story to another called world hoppers. You can kind of try and start connecting the dots and see who appears where and whatever, and it's really fun to read. It's also very painful. It's also really dense. There's a lot of books, but I do highly recommend them, and as I said, Mistborn is a good starting point. So if you haven't yet read Brandon Sanderson and you like fantasy, start with Mistborn. At number 7, we have Netto and Bone, another book by Kingfisher. Just as a heads up, most of the books in this video will be fantasy. So in Netto and Bone, we have this very dark and gripping story about a girl whose sister is sent to marry the prince, but the prince and his father are tyrants, and she wants to find a way to save her sister. So she turns to magic, and more specifically, darker magic. There is a romance plot to it, but it's very much a subplot, and I didn't really pay much attention to it because while the character building overall is very strong, the main love interest dude felt very bland. It kind of felt like someone that you could just use as a blank slate and you can insert whatever personality you want onto that blank plate. He really wasn't the focus of the story, which is perfectly fine. At the end of the day, it's a story about our main girl saving her sister. It's eerie, it has beautiful prose. Beautiful, enchanting prose that kind of grips you from the start and you want to keep reading. But as I said, it is dark. It's also a little bit gory because Kingfisher is really such a versatile author. And yes, she writes romantasy, she writes some more light and cozy books. She also writes horror and she writes children's books. So you can get like a sprinkle of everything from her. And while this one is a bit more on the horror side, it still also felt like a cozy fantasy in a weird way. Like it's still a book that you can snuggle up under the blanket with and just enjoy spending time with it and enjoy the story, even though it got dark at some parts. But the selling point for this book is the following. On her quest, Mara is joined by the Grave Witch, a reluctant fairy godmother, a strapping former knight, and a chicken possessed by a demon. Now, if you don't read this book because of the chicken, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Turns out, I was talking for 15 minutes and I was not recording. Okay, so we have One Dark Window at number 6. This is book 1 of a duology. The second book I did give 4 stars because I really don't think it was as good as the first book. This is a gothic-y maybe not horror-y, but it definitely has eerie vibes book. The prose is stunning. I love the prose. It was beautiful. It definitely created this very haunting and dark atmosphere, which I really appreciate. It's a story about a girl that from a very young age basically has this dark creature living inside of her head and speaking to her. And sometimes when she needs help, he would emerge and he would take over her body and he would help her. But the more he does that, the more he starts taking over her body and her mind. And in this world, magic is really frowned upon. Maybe frowned upon isn't really the right expression. But basically you have this mist that infects people, and if you're infected and you survive, you develop magical abilities. And if you develop those magical abilities, you are killed. So we have our main girl and our main dude trying to gather one of each very special tarot cards that they can probably use to cure the world from said mist. The tarot cards do have magical powers, and there are a limited number of those tarot cards, and basically the richer you are, the more tarot cards you can own. So yay, dark fantasy capitalism. But yeah, that is basically the story, and it's not so much the story that really won me over, it's definitely the writing style, because it grabbed me from the start and it wouldn't let me go. So if you want something more dark and haunting, then this is a book for you. Next up, at number 5, we have The Raven Scholar, which is a very, very chunky boy, okay? A very chunky boy. And this is book 1 in the series. Book 2, I have no idea when it's coming out. So if you're not ready to commit to the wait, don't read this yet. Now, this is not one of those high fantasies that I get really excited talking about, but it's still a very good book. I haven't posted a full review of it yet, so I'm going to keep most of my opinions for that video, because I do have a lot of opinions, always. But for now, what I will say is that while I definitely don't enjoy some aspects of this book, it's still a very well written story. And the world and the world building, I'm really eager to explore more. In this story, we follow a lady who is a scholar, and she's basically forced to participate in the challenges for the throne. Now, here's the thing. I really don't like reading books with challenges. I don't have the patience for challenges. I get really annoyed when I have to read how the characters overcome these challenges and how they win and how they lose and blah, 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 blah. I really hate it, and I try to avoid it. But somehow in this book, they were okay. They were interesting. I didn't want to skim read them. I didn't want to skip them. When I picked it up, I didn't know there were going to be challenges, but thankfully, they were good. Okay, so kudos to you, Antonia Hodgson, if that is how you pronounce the name. See, this is why I don't really pronounce the names of authors. I just butcher them, and I don't want to butcher them. I'm sorry, but yes, kudos to the author, because I like challenges. Now, the reason why these challenges are put in place and they're a part of the plot is because in this world, for you to become emperor or empress, you don't do political scheming. You don't become one due to birthright. No. You have to pass these challenges, and if you pass these challenges, then you become emperor / empress, whatever. So our girl is forced to participate in them while simultaneously trying to solve a murder. So this is also a murder mystery. It is also a political fantasy as well. So you have all of these elements, and somehow they are balanced quite well. So overall, this was a good read, and I am looking forward to the second book. And at number 4, we have the absolute classic that is Jane Eyre. Also, look at this pretty edition as well. It's also one of the floppy ones-ish, because it almost stays, and I'm very pleased that it stays, and it's very, very, very pretty. Yeah. Anyway, it's a classic, it's a love story, it's one of the first more feminist books. Is it revolutionary? Maybe it is, in a way. It has absolutely stunning writing, like really stunning, and I so wish that modern authors would write the way Charlotte Bronte wrote or Jane Austen wrote, because yes, it's flowery, but it's not pretentious flowery. It's just being a master of the English language. So yeah, Jane Eyre absolutely gets a spot in my top 5 reads of 2025. Now at number 3, we have something a little bit more different, and that is When the Moon Hits Your Eye. Now this was an arc that I was rather skeptical about, but it sounded fun, and my best friend wanted us to apply for it, so we did. And we got it, and I was so pleasantly surprised by it. It's a ridiculous story, it really is. Because in here what happens is that the moon turns into cheese. Literally, it turns into cheese. And then in each chapter, you have a different person dealing with the fact that the moon is now cheese. So you have a chapter with scientists, a chapter with the President of the United States, a chapter with owners of a cheese store. You just have a variety of people going through this life-changing event of the moon turning into cheese. It's absolutely ridiculous. I laughed so much. I loved it. So if you're looking for something unique and fun and absolutely ridiculous, then I definitely recommend When the Moon Hits Your Eye. And then at number 2, we have another high fantasy, The Will of the Many. This book took over my mind, and it still hasn't let me go. Why? I don't know. I really don't understand why I love this book so much. The second book came out like almost 2 months ago, but it's still not available in Bulgaria, and I'm losing my mind because I know it has been out for 2 months, but I can't get my hands on it, and I can't read it, and I'm desperate to read the second book. So what my best friend and I ended up doing is asking her brother, who lives in Germany, to get it from Amazon there, and then send it over here through her parents, who are going to visit him in Germany for New Year's. So when they come back from New Year's, I will finally have the second book. Okay, now what this is about. And as I keep saying, this is the problem when I'm so excited about a book, and especially a high fantasy book. I really can't say anything about it, like about the story, about what makes it so unique and so So I will just read you the blurb very quickly, like part of the blurb, okay? But the truth is that I have been sent to the academy to find answers, to solve a murder, to search for an ancient weapon, to uncover secrets that may tear the Republic apart, and that I will never ever cede my will to the empire that executed my family. And if the hierarchy finds out who I truly am, they will kill me. Amazing book, absolutely amazing book. I did also pick up his other series, the first series that he has ever written. It's not as good, it's definitely not as good. I still haven't finished the first book. I'm really struggling to get through the first book of that series, but this one, The Will of the Many, read it. And at the number 1 spot, we have Piranesi, or however you pronounce it, okay? And the only thing you need to know about this book before you read it is that you have to know absolutely nothing about this book when you start reading it, okay? Nothing. No blurbs, no reviews, nothing, okay? You have to go into this blind, okay? I have never, ever enjoyed being confused as much as I enjoyed being confused reading this little thing, okay? This is a masterpiece. My best friend recommended it to me. No regrets, 0 regrets. Then I recommended it to my aunt and my mom, and they both read it and loved it. and then a friend recommended it to absolutely everyone that she knew, and they all loved it. And if you're going to read any of the books I've mentioned in this video, if you had to pick one, read this one. Okay, read Piranesi. Absolute masterpiece. And just be confused. Don't get frustrated. Just be confused and enjoy being confused, because it is absolutely worth it. Okay? 5 out of 5, 6 out of 5, 10 million, 1,000 out of 5, whatever. Really, really good book. Absolutely one of my favorite books. So that was it. And my battery is about to run out. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some books out of my top 10. I hope you had a 2025 filled with good books, and I hope you will have a 2026 filled with even more good books. Okay, here's to hoping for more 5-star reads. As always, thank you for watching. I really, really appreciate you, honestly. And if you have read any of these books, or if you have any recommendations, please feel free to share in the comments. This is a safe space. We can discuss things. I do have a shelf on Goodreads where I record all of your recommendations, and I'm very, very slowly getting through it, but I will get through it. And yes, thank you for watching. Here's to good vibes and great things happening in the new year, and I will see you again next time. Bye bye.